here's a look at the top four. Only 3 points separate the top three teams, with first place Barcelona and second place Atlético Madrid separated by just 1 point. At least for now. 10 match days remaining, JD. Is La Liga Barcelona's to lose?
Of course it's always Barcelona's to lose because they're the staple point. They've set the standard so far this season. We've seen the
You think that's been the case the whole season?
No, we've seen the inconsistency they had around the autumn in terms of October, November. But I think that's just natural within a season. You're trying to find your fluidity. Can you put your best foot forward? But at this stage, all eyes are on Atleti. I know this sounds very far-fetched. And when you look at it, you look at a tight table, and you look at what Hansi Flick has done so far. And credit to them. But I look at the experience of the players that's been there. I look at the experience of players that understand what it needs to win a championship. And Atleti have all of the components. I love it because it's almost like a rebrand. Historically, we've seen Atletico Madrid and we've seen a defensively efficient team. A team that understands who they want to be, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But this year, I'm lacking the fluidity. I'm loving the energy going forward. It's almost as if Simeone said, I'm going to take the shackles off you guys this year. I want to trust Alvarez in the final third. I want to trust that these players can go and win me games. And they're doing it time after time. At this moment, if I'm Atleti, I'm doing this. Okay, well,
okay, you literally just said it was Barcelona's to lose. So is it Barcelona's to lose or is it Atleti's to win?
No, it's Barcelona's to lose because they are the standard. I don't take that away from them.
The standard or just because they're in first?
Because you're in first, you are the standard. But then after that, I'm looking at Atleti and I'm thinking to myself, you're rounding at the right time.
4-4 draw against Barca in the first leg. You have them going in a few days' time and getting a result against Madrid, going at the weekend getting a result, and then going back getting a result against Barcelona, going back getting a result against Madrid. You have all that happening?
Did you see me do this? Did I turn around and shuffle myself in? Did I get myself ready? Because I trust that team. And I also turn around and say, we talk about it all the time, managers making changes at the right moment. We looked at that game and we thought to ourselves, oh, it's a difficult game. Atleti, are they struggling to find the momentum? Changes in the 60th minute. And what happens between the two substitutions? Llorente automatically plays in Alvarez, and that's what happens. In those moments, sometimes you have to look at the manager and think to yourself, okay, you're the one that's making the difference. And I look at that schedule and I understand. Champions League, home and away, it can be difficult. Getafe as well, taking that in. It's never an easy place to turn around and handle. Barcelona twice as well. But accept the excitement. Accept it. Approach the assignment in the right way. Turn around and say, if we're going to be champions, if we're going to be contenders across all of these fronts, across especially all of these competitions, we have to turn around and say that we're going to win these games.
Yeah, I don't share your excitement about their Champions League fortunes. For the last 3 months, I've said Atleti are going to win the league, so I'm with you on that.
I like that.
But when you are playing against a Real Madrid side that's not going to be the same across 2 legs. What Madrid do in the Champions League is very different than what they do in La Liga. Then you have to back that up against a Barcelona side that's out for revenge. Ooh,
okay, so
that's gonna be tough.
It sounds like you've got Atleti in La Liga. You as well. TV, where do you stand?
That's where I was too. I didn't know that this was going to be a consensus on the desk. Real Madrid are always going to be the team to watch. Like, I take those two teams, both Madrid teams, more seriously than Barcelona, right? Like, the eye test of the way they defend, how naive it is and how bad it is in defensive transition, doesn't quite match up with the advanced numbers, particularly in La Liga. Barcelona have more expected goals against than the other two teams in the title race, but it's not dramatic. They're still, I think, in the top handful of teams in La Liga. But in the Champions League, they are more like mid-table in expected goals against. And I think that that's more about what this team is and the frailties defensively and the naivete of the tactics of how high that line is. Over a 38-game season, it's going to catch up with them. It hasn't quite yet. They've been on a phenomenal run of form. But for me, I trust Atlético Madrid more and even Real Madrid.
Do you guys think that defense becomes even more important in this final stretch now? Is that why, you would give an edge to Atleti, even though Barcelona is scoring a bajillion goals?
Yes. At this time of the season, the variance of Barcelona going to a different La Liga team, if they get caught in transition in the wrong moment, that's how you drop points.
Okay, but let's talk about drop points then, because Real Madrid, if we're talking about those 3 teams, they have 11 points dropped from winning position in La Liga, which is more than Barcelona or Atletico.
Barcelona have 9. And so they were ahead of them after this weekend after losing to Betis. So I completely understand this point, but it's not a drastic difference.
Yeah, of the 3 sides, Real Madrid aren't going to win La Liga. Let's just.
They're 3 points out. How can you say that?
Yeah,
how can you say that definitively?
In one sentence, you just turned around and said
they're a side.
Ancelotti is raising his eyebrows.
They're a side right now that is not deep enough to compete on multiple fronts.
Okay.
They will value the Champions League. Carlo Ancelotti, we've seen that time and time again. What they don't do in La Liga, they do in the UEFA Champions League, right? So Vinny Jr. does not show up in La Liga. Madrid, they've had, I think they had either a 7 to 10 point opportunity to get a 7 to 10 point lead when Barcelona and Atleti were both struggling. They do not have the depth at the back. They're banged up in the midfield. And up top, Vinny Jr. is not dialed in the same way. So right there, that tells me that barring a complete disaster from Barcelona and Atleti, I don't rate this Madrid side in La Liga. I never have.
So more people actually agree with Mike than disagree with Mike. And I don't understand why. What does the eye test tell you about Real Madrid this year?
In the Champions League or in the Liga?
Just in La Liga. What does the eye test tell you?
In La Liga, it tells me that the mentality that they have. Did you watch the match against Real Betis?
I've seen it. I watched it over and again. I watched the highlights again this morning.
For me, the big difference that I saw in that match, they play in spurts. And they've been doing it throughout the season. For 20 minutes, they looked unplayable. Kylian Mbappe turns in the half space and then makes a magical pass. And then as soon as other teams put their chest out, it doesn't matter if it's Real Sociedad, it doesn't matter if it's Atleti, they're a team that switches off in ways I don't see them switch off in European competition. And this is a side that when you don't have certain players, not named Fede Valverde, they lack the leadership that it takes to be consistent throughout the course of a La Liga season. The leadership that we see from a Barcelona, the leadership we see from an Atleti side, they don't have those intangibles in league form. I don't know what goes between the ears, but I think sometimes they disrespect the opponents they have in front of them.
Ali made a great point about defense being an important component. Do you not think that Rudiger and Alaba coming back together now and being able to develop that rhythm for the latter part of the season is going to be important?
They looked banged up. They looked like they're two players who they have a bunch of matches coming back a bit too soon. Alaba looked like he was running with one leg with a bandage on there. Antonio Rudiger looked like he had a piano on his back.
That's totally
okay,
It's going to be too many matches for them.
Tom wants it. And then we're switching to Champions League.
How can you say that this race is over for Real Madrid? They are 3 points behind. They still play Barcelona. It is still in their hands.
What's happened when they played Barcelona this season?
Oh,
they haven't won.
They didn't just not win. They got hammered. In just about every big game outside of the City match, they've left a lot to be desired. And I don't think that changes in La Liga. El Clasico is the last thing this team, based on what I saw against Real Betis, do that against Betis, do that against Barcelona, you're going to get you're going to get laughed off the field. It's not good enough psychologically.
But go back to Barcelona's 4-4 draw against Atlético Madrid. If they play like that against Real Madrid, they'll lose 4-0.
It was stubbornness from Hansi Flick.
That's what they are. That's
stubbornness.
Who they are.
It's only one way forward for Barcelona.
That's my point.
Atleti, that was down to Atleti reading what Hansi Flick does. You play the diagonal to the fullbacks, and you have acres of space.
Okay, let's talk some Champions League, because either way, one of Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid are going to be out in this round because they play each other in the round of 16. No Jude Bellingham in leg one. JD, you had an issue with Real Madrid just being the favorite here after their poor Champions League run so far. How do you see them faring?
I do, because I've seen it a number of stages throughout the group. Let's be honest, they stumbled through the league stage. They stumbled through it. There was moments.
Nice way to put it.
They stumbled through it, and we give them a pass because we've seen the history of this club and we know what they do historically. And we see the Don on the sideline and we see the big names and the stars. And we think to ourselves, oh, it means that Real Madrid are automatically going to be the favourites once again. What does the eye test tell you? This team right here has struggled with injuries. They look like they've played too many games already, carrying the heavy legs from last year, and right now there's no consistency in their play. We saw at the beginning it was the question marks around Mbappe. Can Mbappe fit into this system? Now it's everything else. Can they keep everybody on the pitch? Can they stay fit? I don't see the fluidity of Real Madrid in previous years, and I think age is catching up with them, and I also think maybe a slight little mental fatigue is catching up with them too.
What do you guys think about Barcelona? And they're
go back
all
to the start.
No. In Champions League, how do you see this competition going for them?
I think that they're a phenomenal attacking team. It is so much fun to watch. I just think it's too naive defensively to go through this competition in a knockout stage. I just don't see them getting all the way.